How you doing, guys? Welcome back. It's LSP. It's currently the 13th of November 2021. So before I get into the analysis on CHSB today, I just want to make a quick announcement. I am part of the Hollywood squad over at the DAO. So this is going to be a regular thing. We're going to be doing at least one video each week, presenting my analysis on CHSB and some of the other tokens in the Wealth app. And they will be posted to various channels. And I'm really looking forward to being able to do this analysis. There will be times, obviously, that CHSB is kind of stagnant, not really doing much, and it's during those times we'll be looking at something different, but it will always be within the Wealth app, and I'll do my best to throw in analysis on, Wealth app tokens that I believe are poised, to do something interesting, or that are showing, volume increases and so on. So I'm really looking forward to it, guys. I'm really happy to be part of, the Hollywood squad. I think it's a great initiative, and I think it's something that is really going to help the community. So with that said, let's get into the analysis on, CHSB. Now, as always, guys, this is just my opinion. These are my thoughts and opinions. It's absolutely not financial advice. So just make sure that you do your own due diligence when you're, thinking about investing in coins, or certain projects. So we've recently had, i.e. in the last, let's say, couple of hours, a nice little pop on CHSB. Now, this has been expected for quite some time. If we go back to the daily, we can see, the range that this has been in has just been, mind-numbing. It's just effectively going sideways, 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 sideways for quite some time. And if you remember in any of the other previous analyses that I've done on CHSB over the last sort of month, there's not really been much to talk about. It's always been the kind of same, it's, not much to say. Price is still kind of hanging around, the same range between sort of, 60 and, we'll just call it, say 56 and sort of 65. And it's just been bouncing around this range for, for a while. Now, obviously, we've had, the news that there is going to be the yield, CHSB yield 2.0, that will be going live, and we've had news, that there are other things that are in the works like thematics and so on. And obviously this creates that idea or that sense that something's coming on CHSB, and it's going to happen pretty soon, right? Because we're coming up, towards the end of the year. We only have a couple of months left now, probably less, about a month and a half left. And those announcements and going live with those features is of course going to help CHSB and the CHSB ecosystem. But in the end, we still have to maintain a solid, logical understanding of what's going on the chart. This is the way that I personally do my analysis. As much as I like everything else and I look at some things, what the company is doing, the strength of the company, the strength of the team, the ethos that they have, it still doesn't change the fact that what we see on the chart, and this is again how I always see things, it's all factored into the chart before you started effectively, okay? So, and I'll give you an example, because there's a lot of people that I speak to that say, how can that be the case? When something comes out, then the chart moves. But you have to remember, there are subtle signs that happen. We know, for example, that thematics are on the way. We know, for example, that the CHSB 2.0 is on the way. Yeah, both of these have not been released yet. And we'll go with thematics, for example. Thematics is something that is going to be released in the near future. Okay, so we look at price and we say, okay, thematics is coming, and we're kind of watching how price is behaving. But you can see the subtle changes in price as we approach that time. Remember, let's say there is 100 traders, and this is the best way I can explain it. Let's say there's 100 traders or 100 investors, okay, that are looking to get into CHSB. And I'm not saying this is the case, but this is how I think. Does it stand to reason that at least one or two of those people know more about the thematics release than, say, the other 99 or 98 people? Yeah? There's always going to be somebody that's in the know, yeah? And their behavior is reflected in the chart. So let's say, for example, that person, let's say one person of those 100 know that thematics is going to be released, and you see this pop here, yeah? Now we have no idea. We're just watching the chart. and we get a little spike like that, and we think, oh, that's interesting. The first thing people think is protect and burn, right? So you check the protect and burn, nothing's happened. Okay, fine. Why did CHSB just pop? I mean, it's been going pretty much nowhere for ages. Really small candles, efficiently traded price, and then all of a sudden, boom. Yeah, it's not a great, massive candle, but it's something. Maybe that's that one person that's just jumped in that knows more about the thematics release, than the other 99 people. So you start paying attention, and then you get a little bit more upside, and you think, okay, but the other 99 have no idea what's going on, yeah? And price is still going sideways, but we still have that subtle clue, that small nuance, right, that there's been a very small shift in order flow. Keeps going, and then maybe at this point, that one person can't contain himself anymore and says, you know what, it's going to be released in the next week, for example. This is all hypothetical, right? I'm just showing you how I think, and how it's reflected on the charts. It's coming in a week, and maybe somebody else gets in, the second person, so the second person jumps in, and he's thinking, this is it. First person's early, second person's pretty early, and then boom, thematics is released, but nobody sees the subtle sign before that. And this is what we're effectively getting on CHSB. There's been shifts in flow all the way up to where we are now. Okay, and I need to get rid of that tail. So where are we? So there. So make sure the chart's nice. So we'll go over to the weekly for a second, and I'll just show you a few things just to get into the analysis. Sorry guys, I know I don't want to ramble too much, but I like to give examples on these things because it's about the nuances that you see on the charts and the small shifts in flow, at least that I see anyway. So we've been stuck in this liquidity pool for quite some time. There is still remaining liquidity below, but so far it's maintained, and it's accumulating. The best way to understand this is we've been stuck in this range from around about sort of September, late September, all the way up to around about, the beginning of November, right? First, second week of November. So that's quite a decent amount of time. And in that time, because price has been stabilizing in such a small range, it's being accumulated. People are, because remember guys, there's a huge community, of CHSB holders, and those people want to accumulate as much CHSB as they can. So they're buying in all of this. They're buying. They're saying, please don't pop. Please don't go. I want to add another £50. I want to add another £100. I don't get paid till the end of next week, and so on. Now, I'm not saying that's good or bad in terms of what people are using, their money for, because obviously for some people £50 might be, what they're looking to invest every month, but it's what they're doing, the time. If somebody's saying, okay, look, I'm looking to invest and put more money into CHSB every 2 weeks, for example, and they don't get paid till the end of the month, it's not really much they can do about it. So they're hoping it stays here. It is being accumulated, is my point, and it's being accumulated constantly, and it was very heavily accumulated through all of this, this stage. You can see this through the staking program as well, because more money is going into the staking program. CHSB, like if somebody adds another £50 to their bag, for example, that goes straight into the CHSB yield, and then maybe another couple of weeks go by, they grab another £50, that goes into the CHSB yield. So it's a constant update, constantly. Yeah. So the accumulation's been happening. Today we see a nice pop. This is on the weekly chart, obviously, so we'll go down in a second. But today we see a really nice pop, and just to keep it completely chart related and got nothing to do with anything else that's going on in terms of releases, features, or anything like that. Let's drop down to the daily. Where's that tail? There it is. There we go. So we'll do this. We'll zoom in a little bit more so we can. There. Okay. So you see the subtle ramp up. Okay. Now, while price was doing all of this, there was another liquidity pool that I made a reference to at the time. Okay. So let's just. Where's the? I can't see it. Sorry, guys. 1 second. There we go. So let me just. Okay. So there was another liquidity pool that it dipped into, which is the daily liquidity pool. We will make that a different color. So this is the weekly liquidity pool. That price has been bouncing in for quite some time. It's accumulating. Just imagine there's a huge amount of CHSB down there, and it's just grabbing it constantly, and it is to the buy side. We can see it's to the buy side, and today it's a confirmation that it's to the buy side, right? Because you can see the pop. But there is remaining liquidity below, okay, which we tapped into once, and so far it doesn't look like it wants to go down there again. So if we drop down to the 4 hour, get a little bit of a feel for the way price is moving. And what I wanted to show you guys, I think I can do it like this. Yeah, there we go. So if we just do that, you see this low here. If we do, yeah, we'll do a horizontal line. Okay, so there's the low just there, right? This was the subtle giveaway for me, right? That price had shifted flow, okay, and it was ready to ramp up and start to potentially move. And again, you see this before the release. You see this before anything is, spoken about, and you see this before anything starts to happen on CHSB. It doesn't always show up in this way, but it's just there. I try really hard to try and explain it in a way that makes sense, but sometimes it's hard to articulate what's going off in my head. But we had this low down here. We know we're stuck in a range. It's been kind of grinding sideways for quite some time, and it moves up, tries to go a little bit there, and it comes all the way back down into the range and hits the weekly liquidity pool. This shows me that price isn't ready to go yet, and it needs to accumulate more CHSB. So it goes up a little bit more, and then we get that drop, and it goes all the way down and takes out this low. Okay, so once it's taken out this low, if this high is traded above, okay, it becomes a break in the structure of price, and you can see price came down. It started to bounce around, just above the low that it had already traded through. Okay, and it comes back up and it pops just there and it takes out this high. Then it starts to grind to the upside, takes out this high, and then since then we haven't come anywhere near these lows and we haven't come anywhere near this low again, right? Which again is a subtle indication that it's unlikely we're going to come down into the daily liquidity pool. But if that did happen, as I mentioned in a previous video before, quite a while ago, it wouldn't stay there for very long, So I was saying to people, if it goes down there, you better be quick with your fingers. So we had a nice sort of drive into the weekly liquidity pool again. Then we get that subtle pop just here, okay? And then since then, we're hovering around the top end of the liquidity pool. It does a final dip just there, which again, really can't make this stuff up, guys. Last final dip into a 4-hour liquidity pool, and then boom, today. Now, going forward, this doesn't mean, okay, that price is just going to rip now and that's it. We're going to see all-time highs and yay. But what it does mean is that we are slowly shifting flow now. We've already had a 4-hour order flow shift, we've had a daily order flow shift, and now we could potentially be moving on the weekly, right? So if the weekly is in charge and it's pushing price because it's the highest time frame, it's the one that adds the most weight to the analysis that we do, it is very, very possible that we maintain this, and we want to see this hold now. We've already taken out this high. There is a level above us, okay, just here, that we want to see price traded to, and once it gets there, we'll see if price responds in a favorable way. It's the fill one, isn't it? Yeah, so we'll see if price responds in a favorable way up here. So we're not that far off. We're talking about 78, so about 80. This is a level of interest going forward. To the downside, if this gets reversed, then I expect we just go straight back into the range, right? So to be clear going forward, price has gone up. If it reverses and comes back down, it will just continue this, this horrible slop. And we can take this off because we don't need that. But if this holds, okay, and we continue to go to the upside, I want to see what price does here at the 80 level, and then once it gets there, we can start to assess whether or not that's probably going to be traded through, and we can start to challenge at least the $1 again going forward. There is another level up here which I'll discuss in a future video if we get through this, okay? But for now, that's the analysis on CHSB. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I look forward to doing more for the Hollywood squad. Again, one every week. I'll see if I can add more, but it's going to be at least one video every week going through CHSB analysis, and I'm hoping that this continues now because there's not really been much to talk about on CHSB in the last months. And with that said, guys, I hope everyone's having a fantastic day, and I look forward to speaking to you very soon. All the best and take care.